At this time, I would like to present the Teachers and Support Staff of the Year for Livonia Public Schools. Please welcome to the stage Livonia Superintendent Andrea Oquist.
Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you so much, Dan, and to the Livonia Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. This is a highlight for us each year, and we're so grateful that you take time to acknowledge our educators and support staff that we've recognized in our district. And I just want to join Mr. Cantor's wish that we could bring all of our staff here today. We have almost 2,000 staff as part of our Livonia Public Schools team. And can I tell you, they are absolutely remarkable. It's not as though we didn't know that, but I will tell you, in 31 years in education and as part of Livonia Public Schools, this has been a most unique year. And I could not be prouder of our secretaries, our custodians, our bus drivers, our food service, our educators, our parapros, and our leaders. So we're here tonight to celebrate three, an elementary, secondary teacher of the year, and our support staff person of the year. And so I'd like to start by sharing a little bit about these three special honorees, really not only about their excellence, but about their character. It's never been more apparent than over the past year and a half that we realize that the character traits we take such great pride in teaching our children also shine brightly in the staff we recognize this evening. The individuals I'm going to introduce to you this evening are extraordinary examples of those traits of perseverance and grit, being empathetic, kind, and supportive, just to name a few. Just as we've all had to adapt to a new way of life, and Dan, you had some great examples for us of that adaptation, a new way of thinking and doing, our honorees had to do that as well. Education turned on its head March 13th, 2020. We truly just marvel at what our teachers and our support staff have been able to do over the past 15 months. So I'd like to begin by introducing Mrs. Lorraine Georgina. She is the Elementary Educator of the Year. Unfortunately, she was not able to be with us this evening, and I wish she would have been. She is a burst of positive energy. She takes pride in her work at Webster and Cooper Upper Elementary as a physical education teacher who's been with us for over 27 years. We have been inspired by her spirit and her creativity and her enthusiasm for the students with whom she works. She believes that every one of her students is a game-winning athlete, and she wants every child to leave her physical education classroom knowing their skills, their creativity, their endurance are all prizes to be recognized. At Webster Elementary, we have two distinct programs. We have the Gifted and Talented program, and we have our Act 18 special education program as well. Mrs. Georgino has implemented what she calls a unified physical education program, bringing students from both of those programs together. She's truly viewed by her colleagues as not only a positive role model, but someone with whom that makes a very special connection with their students. Even during the remote learning time, Mrs. Georgino stepped up and taught her students physical education virtually. She's the type of teacher who truly goes the extra mile for her kids. I'll wrap up about Lorraine with a short story that was shared by one of her colleagues, Lauren Gershman. Lauren writes, "There was a student, we'll call him Billy, who was in our MOCI program, moderately cognitively impaired. Billy used a walker, had no fingers or toes, and in the past he would arrive at gym and cry. He had no interest in participating despite some very convincing and supportive staff members. Lorraine accepted the challenge and began to make a bond with Billy. Each class she was able to connect with him through baby steps. In the beginning, it was really just for him not to be upset coming to class. Soon she would call on him to come to the circle or demonstrate something for the class with her. He trusted her, he knew she would be patient, and she was. His tenseness began to dissipate, and by the end of the year, he didn't just walk down the hallway, he sprinted. Congratulations, Mrs. Georgino. We are so proud to call her a colleague and friend." Next, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Mimi Higgins. Mimi is our Secondary LPS Educator of the Year, and we have also been so fortunate to have Mrs. Higgins as a special education teacher for 22 years. When thinking about those character traits who are so much a part of who we are as a district, empathy, integrity, being genuine and kind, those traits immediately come to mind when you think about Mimi. She does amazing work with her students at Holmes Middle School each day, and she was instrumental in developing our Community with Character initiative in Livonia Public Schools. She carries with her a simple but powerful philosophy that her students are some of the bravest and most amazing people on the planet. I'm going to quote Mimi in saying, "They are vulnerable and worthy and deserving of a teacher who is willing to advocate for them, walk with them, share and cry with them, laugh and teach them. They deserve a teacher who sees all that they can be and all that they are. I believe when we are in relationships with our students, it provides the pinhole of light they need to illuminate a room." That's so well said, Mimi. Mrs. Higgins forms relationships so naturally and genuinely with her students, and she maintains those connections for years and decades, even after they've moved on. Many will continue to reach out to her years later just to let her know that they've made it, just like she said that they would. She's known to go the extra mile for students, including a former student named Matt. She provided means for him to get braces for his teeth, a varsity jacket that he earned playing baseball, and most importantly, the confidence he needed to reach his potential. In a letter to Mrs. Higgins, he wrote, "I'm proud of the person I am, and without your guidance, I'm certain I would not be the person I am today. You have taught me to be reasonable and kind, and that there is always a solution." A colleague said this of Mrs. Higgins: "She uncovers the best in people, polishes it with care, making it shine bright so that others can finally see the shimmer that she knew was there all along." Congratulations, Mimi. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Mrs. Pat Schuhart, who serves in the role of supervisor of our Food and Nutrition Services Department for all of Livonia Public Schools. Pat is truly one of our many unsung heroes who works quietly and dedicated behind the scenes. We have been so lucky to have Pat with us for the past 9 years, and there has never been a time when her dedication has been more on display than during the pandemic. When schools were closed last spring, Pat immediately began to prepare and plan to provide meals for students. She developed the district's first ever drive-through food pickup program for families in our community. More than 264,000 meals were distributed during the springtime closure of 2020. This came at a time when many families were without work and quickly losing confidence that they would be able to provide that for their families. Pat's supervisor, our operations director, Phil Francis, had this to say: "Pat is a role model for those in her department and for all of us who have worked with her. She will not ask anything of anyone that she is not willing to do herself, which helps to rally people around her efforts. I believe everyone, students, parents, and staff, need to know the lengths she is willing to go through to feed every child who needs a meal." She has remained positive when facing adversity, including product shortages, unknown demand, changing vendors, and a workforce that was at home most of the time while she was on site each day. Pat enjoys connecting with our students, allowing them to learn about safe food handling procedures, food prep, and how to work in a busy school kitchen. Students enjoy this so much that one student who was at home learning virtually called the school just to check in on our kitchen staff. Although she has a vast list of responsibilities that include assisting families with federal food programs, training staff at 23 school kitchens, and monitoring government compliance, she makes it all look easy. We are so proud of her efforts, and those of her department that provided an essential support to our families throughout the past year and a half. Pat, we celebrate you. And just to a quick acknowledgement and thank you to Dan and to my fellow chamber board members who have continued to reach out throughout this pandemic to see how they could help our students, our families, and our schools. This community is truly second to none, and we are so grateful for all that you have done for our children. Thank you.